The bitter blast hitting the country, a satellite image from NOAA showing just how much of the country is being covered by the storm. Weather services have issued winter storm warnings across New Mexico, Texas, and other Great Plains states. Ice storm warnings are spread across the south, including the Texas Hill Country. Let's bring back in Chief Meteorologist Chris Suchan. He's been tracking the storm for days and its impact on our 4 zones. He joins us now live from the Weather Center with the latest. Chris?
Now your certified most accurate 4-zone weather with Chief Meteorologist Chris Suchan.
Okay, well, Darian, we have a lot of ground to cover here on this forecast. We'll start with the temperatures, the basics here. And you see essentially around Bexar County, we are now supportive of ice from here on out. Everyone's at 32 degrees or colder. We still have some areas down south just above freezing. Eventually, all these locations here will go below freezing, but it'll take you a little later this evening. And so with that in mind, you're going to have a little bit more time on your side if you have to be out this evening before you hit freezing or colder. Raul B. Rodriguez, Law Weather KFU, there we're socked in those cold, windy conditions. If you missed the top of our newscast, again, if you have to be on the roadways, boy, be very careful here. I highly discourage any travel late evening through the overnight hours. It's ice, and you just can't really negotiate it. You can with snow. But with ice, with its sleet and freezing rain, it's just a skating rink out there, and even four-wheel drive has a hard time with it. So I'm going to have the red flag out here through the night to 7 in the morning, and then we do see a nice improvement tomorrow because the sun comes out. It'll really go to work on the ice that we do have. And in fact, by the afternoon, many roads may actually be dry. Earlier, we had a little patch of rain. It was freezing rain moved across Bandera, Kerr County. It produced a little slipperiness and a few accidents along I-10. We've had this little batch move through. So we've been in a little bit of a lull today, which has been really spotty. That was as expected. And over the next couple of hours, we'll see radar start to fill in. This was a batch here of some mist that's over Seguin right now in Guadalupe County. Very light, but with the temperature below freezing, understand the decks, the sidewalks, you start to get a little light glazing, bridges, overpass. You got to watch. This little batch here moving across our eastern zone where you're at or below freezing. Again, keep in mind that could be a little freezing mist or light freezing rain. Not much out west at the moment, but we pulled the view out a little bit further, and there you can see kind of the leading edge of things here. This is a big area of low pressure, the big drive or the engine in the atmosphere driving this event. There it is, throwing a ton of Pacific moisture across Texas. Look at the impacts here across the state all the way up through Missouri. And so it's going to pull this Pacific moisture over the Arctic cold. And here we go. You can see this is from 7 to 8:30 how radar is filling in mist or freezing rain or sleet. Might even get a random report of a snowflake here. The intensity of the Arctic cold could support a random snowflake, especially in our northern tier of the area. That's at 11 o'clock. Again, that's sleet and mainly freezing rain. And it would actually be a little further south than you see here, I believe, as we get closer to midnight. So let's stretch that freezing line further south. That's at 1 in the morning. It's just sort of patchy all across the area. Still at 4 in the morning, we have patches of sleet, freezing rain, maybe a snowflake. If you're up early with the kids, you want to check it out and see. There you have it, 6 o'clock. Everything's moving in our eastern zone. So we're drying out, and you see how the sun comes out. And that's when things really improve. But it's still cold tomorrow. In terms of ice, I feel that this is underdone up here into the hill country. The only thing that would keep your amounts down is if you get a lot more sleet than the liquid that freezes on contact, which is freezing rain. That would keep your ice buildup down on the trees and power lines if you can get more sleet. But I would still expect 15/100ths to about 1/3 of an inch of ice up here where the ice storm warning is in effect. You zoom this in a little bit more for Bexar County, and I would expect 1/10 of an inch to about 1/4 inch, or maybe even a little bit more. So I feel that this is a little underdone here too, and that would stretch into our eastern zone. Keep in mind, 1/10 of an inch of ice, it's really more about decks and sidewalks and bridges and overpasses and roads getting a little slick, but you don't really get a lot of damage or power outages. Once you start escalating it to around 1/4 inch of ice, you start to see pictures of trees that are succumbing to the weight of the ice, those branches coming down, the power outages start to go up. And when you get to 1/2 inch of ice, that's just widespread damage and widespread power outages. Hopefully we can avoid that here through tonight. Now, as we look at the temperatures, this is what it feels like right now. Understand, that's the other storyline. In the morning, this is what it'll feel like, single digits, teens. And then here's Monday morning. Look at this. Below 0 to 5, 8 degrees, 9, 10 degrees Monday morning. So your day tomorrow, 24 to 36. Wrap this up with our 7-day forecast. And we have a couple of record cold mornings here. Those are the records. All right, and then the afternoons do get a little bit better. We got a lot of dry weather this week, and it doesn't look as bitter next weekend. All right, Western Zone, weather alert days for the extreme cold, that icy mix tonight. Hill country, again, the icy mix through tonight. Very cold temperatures. And here's a look at our eastern zone, where you too have the bitter cold temperatures, those mornings in the teens. And tonight to tomorrow morning, that wintry mix. We're back right after that.
Minutes, be sure to tune in.